What's going on? What's going on? Let me check my live right quick. Make sure we good. All right. What's going on? What's going on? All right, just had to
Let me
check
check
that
my
out.
live.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Listen, man. Today's Diddy trial. Diddy trial is going well, not the trial, but his sentencing. Um, going to see if he's going to spend some time in jail or will he be able to go home today. You know, the prosecutors already want him to do like 11 years. Some people say he might do 5 years. Some people say he might do 2 to 5. You know, but a lot of people, some lawyers and stuff like that, is saying, you know what? He already been in jail for a year now, and what he being charged with, found guilty of, is the Mann Act. That's no longer what a 1 or 2 year sentence for that charge. So we're gonna see, man. But right now, Diddy's on the stand or in front of everybody. He's speaking. So let's see what Diddy talking about right now. He's really spoken to. He's speaking to the audience, speaking to everybody in the courtroom, and just saying, you know, what he needs to say to get to go home or to really get a light sentence. Let's see what we got. We got Inner City Press, who's in the courtroom, who I've been following for a while now throughout this whole trial, and he's tweeting everything going on and what people are saying. And right now, Diddy is speaking. So let's get into it. So it says, Sean Combs stands at the defense table. One of the hardest things that I have done, had to handle, has been having to be quiet and not express how sorry I am for my actions. I don't take that lightly. I would like to apologize to Cassie Ventura and her family. Sean Combs, I apologize to Jane for bringing you into my mess. I would like to apologize to all the victims of domestic violence. I know that the disgusting video triggered people. I was sick from the drugs. I needed help, but I didn't get help. I knew better. My faith taught me better. I'm not this larger than life person. I'm just a human being. I'm trying my best. I lost my freedom and opportunity to raise my children and be there for my mother. I lost all my businesses. Sean Combs, I hate myself right now. I've been stripped down to nothing. I want to apologize to my 7 children. I'm so sorry. You deserve better. To my mother, I feel you taught me better. I let down my community. I wanted to show we could take care of our own problems. I got lost. I'm not this bad person. I'm sorry for my community. I let you down. I let y'all down. People can change. I know I've changed, Sean Combs. Sometimes you have to go through life's experiences. These are not excuses. I can't change the past, but I can change the future. I beg you, Your Honor, for mercy, to be a father again, to be a son again, a leader in my community again, to get help I need. I don't want to let God down. I know I have no one to blame but myself. I know I would never put my hands on another person again. I'm willing to comply with any conditions. Me sharing my story is not a scheme to get less time. This story is tragic. It's very tragic, man. It's very tragic. You know, Sean Combs, man. Um, you know, my previous videos that I said before that Sean Combs was bigger than life person. You know what I mean? Even though he just said he's not a bigger than life person. Yes, you are. You know what I'm saying? In the spotlight, in every video and stuff like that. Sean Combs was that guy in the 90s and the 2000s that been everywhere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people look up to him. A lot of businesses and stuff like that. He was a good entrepreneur, really good businessman. But his personal life seemed to take over everything. And now we see what's going on in the situation. What he got on now is everything is gone. You know what I'm saying? Your business is everything. You know what I'm saying? You might still have money and stuff like that, but it's like your reputation is gone. Your life is down the drain and stuff like that. So now he's really fighting for his life, man. And it's kind of crazy because, you know, like I said before, it's like I didn't know Sean Diddy Combs. I know of him from commercials, TV, and movies and stuff like even music, and really seeing his life played out in the courtroom in front of the world to see. It's a sad situation, crazy situation, man. But a lot of things that we find out now is that Sean Diddy Combs is a terrible terrible person, beating up women and stuff like that. You know, taking all these drugs and stuff, having forcing women to have sex, not all the time, but forcing women to have sex with other guys and wash them and stuff like that. And if it didn't go right, he would beat the women, you know. So he's a terrible person, man, and he do deserve jail time, you know what I'm saying? But do he deserve life in prison? Do he deserve 15 to 20 years in prison? No, not at all, you know. And especially what he's being charged with, the Mann Act, you know. Let's see if we got any more tweets. Sean Combs said, if Your Honor gives me a chance to share my story, this has a positive impact. Thank you to the jury. Your Honor gave me the confidence in the jury to believe that I did not have to testify. They sacrificed 8 weeks. I thank them for not guilty. Sean Combs, I take full responsibility for my man that conviction. They want you to make an example of me. I want you to think about making an example of what a person can do if they get another chance. Consider the beautiful children who spoke for me. Wow, okay. Sean Diddy Combs is really going in, um, saying what type of person he is and how much he's changed and stuff like that. And I read his letter. Look at my page, that a video that I just put out a few hours ago. That I read his whole letter that he's sent to the judge, and it was heartfelt, and you really see that, coming from a billionaire status, multiple homes, vacations, servants, and stuff like that, get everything you want, and now you in prison with 25 guys in the whole area. You know what I'm saying? You're not at that status of eating steak and stuff like that. You in prison with guys that barely eating anything. You know what I'm saying? Seeing all these guys 24/7, and I know it really, really had to really hit home, because I'm like, listen, if I were him, I'm like, damn, you know what? I was a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? I'm rich. You know what I'm saying? I got everything I want, but I'm here because of my choices. Again, my choices. And that's what he's fighting for right now. Let's see if we got any more tweets. Sean Combs, no matter what anyone says, I know that I am truly sorry. Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, so that's it. That's all he gonna say. Okay. Wow, man. I wonder what everybody really thinking. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people outside the courthouse and stuff like that, and seeing people online and stuff, man. A lot of people really want this guy to really do 20, 30 years, stuff like that. And I must say, I mean, I'm not even mad for them to even thinking that, you know what I'm saying? Because this guy is a terrible, terrible person. But we got to understand, we got to follow the law. You know what I'm saying? Even though it is Sean Diddy Combs who's a celebrity, you also got to think about other people who's not a celebrity, a regular civilian. If you just go off your feelings and not follow the law, then everybody's going to be terrible, you know what I'm saying, going down bad with these charges and stuff like that. We have to follow the law of what he's being charged with, what he found guilty of. You know what I'm saying? Not because of he beat up women and stuff like that, which is a terrible, terrible thing. But he's not found guilty of the RICO. He's not being guilty on the abuse and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And if he was, hey, that'd have been great too. But he wasn't. So we have to follow the law, man. Let me see something right quick. Uh, Okay, so let's take a break. 5 minutes. Okay, they're taking a break now. So crazy situation, man. Very, very wild situation. We're gonna see if Sean Diddy Combs be free today or not. We don't know. It's gonna be a wild situation, man. Very wild, very scary situation. Oh man.
And be there for my mother. I lost all my businesses. Now, again, your thoughts on this, because this really is the first time he's had an opportunity substantively to make a comment about this.
Yeah, and I completely agree with both of you that he's being very specific about what he's apologizing for. And he has to. It is true. He wants to show that complete remorse without really admitting to certain things. Look, this is the opportunity and the time where a defendant who has been convicted gets on his knees and begs for mercy. Whether a judge is already too jaded to really believe him, which I would not blame him for, is to be seen, right? It's very easy to be sorry now. It's very easy to say the things that he's saying after he's been convicted. Now, I do want to say that everybody does have the right to a trial. And I don't necessarily think that him taking the case to trial should be held against him and should be deemed as him not being remorseful. But on the other hand, here he is having tried to fight all of the allegations and only now making any sort of admission to any issues. So I don't think a judge is going to be very much swayed by this newest apology, just like any other defendant.
So just let everybody know, my battery's breaking up a little bit. I couldn't hear that last part, Serena. We're going to work on getting this fixed. But I do want to give everybody an update. So Sean Combs says, I hate myself right now. I have been stripped down to nothing. I want to apologize to my 7 children. I'm so sorry. You deserve better. To my mother, I feel you taught me better. Sierra, I go to you. As somebody who's been following this case from the beginning, what are you taking away from what he's saying?
I mean, this is a day of reckoning for Sean P. Diddy Combs, and something that we were hypothesizing before we finally were hearing the words that he was saying was that he may, in fact, point out the victims in this case and apologize. I mean, I believe we talked about that just minutes ago, and here he is doing just that. My question in all of this, I will be very interested to see what Elizabeth Milner says when she comes out, because right now she is in the courthouse, so she is there watching P. Diddy as he's saying these immortal words. I want to know his emotion in all of it. I mean, we can read the words. He's saying, I'm sorry to Cassie. I'm sorry to Jane. I'm sorry to my children and my mother. You taught me better. I threw everything away. I ruined everything. But what is the emotion there? Is it just words? Is he completely stone cold face? Or is he crying? Is he upset? And I think all of these things are something that Judge Arun Subramanian will be clocking, because I mean, that's really what it is. Is he truly sorry? Is he truly remorseful for everything that he's done? I mean, he's now been convicted of a crime here, the transportation to engage in prostitution, which, to your point, Jesse, we haven't heard an apology for all of that. We've heard an apology for the domestic violence side of things. And I mean, I will just guess that Diddy might go on for a bit longer, as it is his first time really to address all of these accounts. But I want to know the emotion behind all of it.
And like Sierra mentioned, you know, the charges that he was actually convicted of are serious, but in the grand scheme of things, with respect to the RICO charge that he could have been facing, are far less severe than what he would have been facing. So I do think there's going to be a significant cut on the sentence. And the judge is going to give a statement, probably not an extraordinarily long statement, but a statement explaining his rationale, a statement that says, you know, I've heard from both sides. I credit such and such from this side of the bench. I credit such and such from this side of the bench. I don't find these particular arguments persuasive. He's going to break it down a little bit, and he's going to give his rationale and then probably end with the actual sentence amount.
You know, you tell me, Joe, is there a possibility he could really significantly downgrade this to 14 months, 16 months, 18 months? Why? Because he said earlier, after hearing the children, it was important to hear them. It was important to hear them. He just heard Sean Combs. His defense attorneys, almost all of them spoke. I believe almost all of them spoke. I don't know if that changed his consensus about this. You heard Sean Combs talk about the vile conditions he was in for over a year. Is that matter? Does that not? He wasn't convicted of the more serious charges, which, by the way, when you talk about Mann Act convictions and when they can reach the higher end of the scale, it's when they're usually coupled with a sex trafficking operation or a racketeering operation. There was violence a part of this. There were aggravating conditions a part of this. But are we looking at it the wrong way? Could the judge come back and shock us all and say 14 months, 18 months, Joe?
It's possible, but I don't think it's probable because, among other things, if he really deviates a long way down, I think he's going to have some explaining to do. And so he's going to explain himself anyway, right? But I don't know that people jump up and down and say, there's some people that really love Diddy, that he comes in too high. Oh my God, he gave him 8, 9, 10 years. You know, the sky is falling. There might be a few people. I think there will be more people that may say that this was a slap in the face of the people that were the victims in this case, you know, et cetera, if he really deviates down a great deal. So I think where we end up arriving is still somewhere in the sentencing guidelines. I think we stay there. Now, it's possible. I don't think we're looking at it the wrong way, Jesse, but it's possible that despite how we're looking at it, judge being the judge can say that for some reason, this is an unusual circumstance. I think he's gone through enough. I'm compelled by him saying X, Y, Z. He was not convicted of those other crimes. I'm looking at it in light of the crimes that he was actually convicted of, et cetera, and arrive there. I don't think it happens that way.
him saying, I want you to make an example of what a person can do if they get another chance, to me, that felt like a powerful statement, particularly, again, this idea of the work that he's been doing inside.
We also gotta understand that uh, it's kind of hard decision, man. You know what I'm saying? It's hard decision because I'm not a judge. I'm not in the courtroom, not a jury or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Who really charged them or found them guilty of those charges? It is like so much stuff that we heard. You know what I'm saying? Coming out the courtroom and the tweets and stuff from people that was inside the courtroom and blogs and stuff that was inside the courtroom and just hearing so much stuff that what this guy really was doing. You know what I'm saying? The drugs, abuse, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And just watching other men in and out, in and out, in and out, have sex with your girlfriend, the girl that we all thought you loved, and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You got these different guys having unprotected sex, getting some type of disease and stuff like that with these women, the women that you supposed to love. Like it's just crazy, And don't get me wrong, some of the stuff was legal because so that's what he was into, you know what I mean? So I can't really judge him because whatever he's into in his bedroom is maybe different from my bedroom or anybody else's bedroom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's crazy, it's weird, but that's what he was into. It sounds so bad, but it's like the baby oil and stuff like that, man. People use baby oil, maybe not that much baby oil because it was a lot of boxes that we seen when they did the search warrant and stuff like that. When they searched the house, it was so many boxes of baby oil and stuff like that. Man, it was just astro glass and stuff. It's crazy. You know what I mean? So this is a wild situation, man. So I'm very, very intrigued of how much time this guy really gonna get.
And if we take him at his word, he genuinely feels remorseful, wants to lead a different life, has the opportunity, the resources, the prestige, where people will listen and maybe they can change their lives. In that sense, if we take it all as true, there is a benefit there, but it doesn't negate what he did. It doesn't negate what he was convicted of. It doesn't negate that there are victims in this case. It's not a victimless crime. Sierra, we have this comment from It's Me Trish. He wasn't worried about his child or his children when he did all of this. Why should the judge worry about the child?
That's a hard one because if we're talking about children, they're innocent in all of this. I mean, none of us really picked our parents. I'm sure Diddy's children, they didn't pick him as a dad. They just kind of, were born and that's what it was. And so the kids are innocent if you're thinking about it in that way. They didn't choose their dad. They didn't choose that he would be caught up in all of this and go into the conviction. So if we're looking on that hand and that sort of thing, yeah, it is valuable to consider that these kids would be raised without their father, and that's tricky. However, to the point of whatever our viewer was who wrote in this question, was P. Diddy thinking about his kids when he violated the Mann Act, when he did this crime that he's now been convicted of? If he really was a great dad, we're showing the video here of him being, a caring father who's a family man. But was he thinking about his children when he was going through and, all of the allegations that we heard at trial a lot?
So sorry to interrupt. I want to let you know, Judge Subramanian is back. He has begun officially delivering his sentence.
All right, let's see what we got, man. That's
He says to the court, he says to Sean Combs, at the outset, I want you to understand, Mr. Combs, you are not being sentenced for acquitted conduct. So he's not being sentenced for racketeering. He's not being sentenced for sex trafficking. But under 3553, which, by the way, is the federal statute regarding imposition of a sentence, under 3553, I must consider many things. Mr. Combs, you are a self-made artist who has inspired community of color. Okay, so we're stopping right there. We're waiting for these updates to come in real time. Serena, does that I'm going to tell you, there's a but, right? Yes, you've done many things, but, and that might not be good for Sean Combs.
When a judge gives any sort of remarks like that, there's always a but. And when you start hearing good things, be prepared for the flip side because it's coming. And I will say to your earlier comments about turning life around, this is a very different type of crime than your typical one-day event. Yes, he was a great guy.
Let's see what we got. Just remember at the outset, I want you to understand, Mr. Combs, you are not being sentenced for acquitted conduct, but under 3553, I must consider many things, Mr. Combs. You are a self-made artist who has inspired community of color. We saw the video, the free game course in the MDC. The court hopes you continue to expand it. You are devoted to your family. The court, of course, considers the collateral consequence. The court has considered all of your history here, a history of good work, can't wash away the record in this case. You abuse these women, you use that abuse to get your way, freak offs and hotel nights. The evidence of the abuse is massive. I was sitting right here doing the testimony. This was subject. That is the reality of what happened. These offenses apparently harmed two women. You applied them with drugs. Why did it happen so long? You had the power and resource to keep it going. You were more than John. More than in John, huh? Let me read some of these comments. Interesting. Diddy's going home. Who's with me? The judge has made a total mockery of the jury verdict. What a swing of tone from the judge. I think she's going to hit him hard. Listen, man, we gotta understand and just what this judge right here is kind of saying to me is like, you know what? I think the judge is going off feelings, man. Hear me out. Hear me out. I think the judge right here, he's going off feelings. He's a man. He's probably married, got kids, daughters, or whatever. Diddy wasn't charged with abuse. Diddy wasn't charged with the drugs. Well, like I said, we heard so many stuff what this guy did. He's a terrible person. But I'm thinking you got to follow the law. You can't go off your feelings. But I think this judge going to hit him hard. I think he's going to give Diddy 5 to 10. I can be wrong. 5 to 10. Let's look at some more tweets. A significant sentence is required to deter you say you're sorry and you won't do it again after Ms. Victoria's civil lawsuit was filed after the video was public and investigating started. You had a brutal hotel night with Jane, punch her in the head. Oh yeah. He about to do at least a 20 ball. I say 10 I say 5 to 10. Boy, how he's sounding. He says significant sentence. Wow. Wow, significant sentence, man. Diddy about to do at least I say 5 to 10, man. But this is crazy. But then again, it's like whatever his sentence he got, his Diddy's attorney is going to appeal this and really show that this judge is basically going off his feelings and not following the law. Watch now. This is crazy. This is crazy. Jane says he told her, take this pill, do out there and hold up. Go out there and suck his penis. Fuck him. I don't care. The court is not convinced this would not happen again. The court has considered the programs that are outweighed by the trial record in this case. See, he's bringing up stuff that didn't really, you know what I'm saying? Like he's bringing up all this stuff. Like this is crazy, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't really care, but I'm just like, this is kind of crazy here. How this judge really talking? You know what I'm saying? Like this is wild. You're literally not going to do it again. He's cooked. Everyone said it. I'm trying to wait on some more tweets. I don't think he's gonna throw the book at Diddy, but I think he's gonna really, you know what I mean, making him an example that we already knew. Come on, what's up with tweets? What's up with tweets? Exploitation and violence against women must be met with real accountability to promote respect for the law. The court reaches a few conclusions. 135 months will be more than necessary. Ooh, 135 months. Wow, he's going for a long time. Jeez. Damn, 135 months. The judge is going off feelings, man. I can be wrong. Y'all can disagree with me or whatever, but the judge is going off he's not going off what he was found guilty of, but it is what it is, man. You do those things to women and stuff like that, man, you deserve most of the stuff. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, I'm not surprised. I'm not sad. Like, it doesn't even matter. But, hey, this goes out to a lot of celebrities. You can have a lot of money and stuff like that. But if you do crazy things like what Diddy did, you're going down, man. You're going down. That's 11 years. Ooh. Just announced the damn, tell me, just announced the damn sentence, right? 135 months, man. About 11 years. He already did a year now. What, year, 2 years in prison? Good behavior and stuff like that. He probably do about 7 years. I don't know, man. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Uh, he wasn't charged with prostitution or nothing like that. So, hey, it's crazy. A sentence over 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that, but 14 months time served would not be sufficient. Hold up now. What's going on here? What's going on here? Hold up now. He's going to this judge is playing games. What is the sentence already? I thought that was the sentence. I thought they were giving 135 months. A sentence of 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that. But 14 months time served would not be sufficient. Hold up. Now I'm confused, man. Now I'm confused. What the fuck is going on here? Hold up, now. I thought that was it. 135 months would be more than necessary. What the fuck is going on here? The hell? This is crazy. Here, the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration. Oh, he gave him 50 months? 50 months. I got a 500 on 5 years. Don't let me down, Judge. Judge handed him a resident at federal housing. That's light work. Wow, just 5 years. The deal is cooked 5 years. You gotta, oh my goodness. What the hell is going on, man? This judge just fooled everybody. The judge definitely fooled me. He said 135 years is necessary. So I'm thinking that he got like 11 years. Now he's saying 50 months. So that's about 5 years right there. Wow. I said it. Hold on. I said five. Nah, I said 5 to 10 because how he was talking, I thought he was gonna get 5 to 10 years. I said 5 to 10. I said 5 to 10. I did say 5 to 10, man. Showing the justice was served in this case. I mean, he had to, you know what I'm saying? He had to. He couldn't really give him a low sentence. And he really couldn't give him a high sentence because you got to follow the guidelines. Doesn't matter what everybody's saying. Doesn't matter. You got to follow the guidelines, and the guidelines was that. So, wow, wow, wow. I already served 14 months. So JD already did a year. So he'll be home in about a year or so, 2 years maybe. Program stuff like that. This is big, man. This is big. This is big. This is big. 3 years left. He'll get a parole hearing in 9, 18 months and be out for good behavior and probation. Wow. Yeah, I say he probably be home like a year or two. 1 year time served, be out in 3 years, maybe two, with good behavior. Mr. Ophelia, any recommendations were to serve the sentence? Combs Ophelia, can we get back to you by Monday now that we know there is a sentence? Judge, yes. So he got about 5 years, everybody. Diddy got 5 years prison sentence, man. Let's see what he talking about.
Where you look at,
but he should be pretty happy with his defense team, because
So
I think the
years,
judge
4.5 years.
giving less than half of the prosecutor's recommendation, and also less than what the pre-sentence report had said, is a win for him. I do believe that 4 years is a win in this particular case.
Joe, what did it? Was it his letter? Was it the letters of family? Was it the children speaking? Was it the work that he's doing behind bars? Was it the nature of these charges? You know, as much as we say that the judge was not convinced to throw out the charges, right? The defense put forward that motion saying transportation to engage in prostitution should be thrown out. This is not prostitution. It's protected by the First Amendment. The judge didn't buy it. But the argument, hey, he wasn't convicted of racketeering, he wasn't convicted of sex trafficking, just the prostitution charges, can't create a disparity based on other defendants who are sentenced. Maybe 4 years is appropriate and won't be overturned on appeal.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had to position this a certain way. And there's a couple things to figure in. First of all, we got to go back to the fact that the defense did an enormous job in getting him off of the most serious charges, right? So we're talking about something that's going to be smaller and it's going to be less time anyway. Next, there's a probation department recommendation, right? Which put things at a certain place. And it sounded like, even though the judge talked about how 11 years wouldn't have necessarily been unreasonable, and he said 14 months would have been entirely unreasonable if I am hearing it correctly, he still is in line in that he doesn't want to do something that'll necessarily be appealable, and he wants to arrive somewhere not too far afield from the recommendations themselves. And so, again, here's Diddy in a situation where he did a lot better than he might have. And, you know, that 3 years is going to go by in no time. And the day that he was found guilty of most of everything, it ensured that he would have a date that he would get home at some point anyway. So he will get home. He's better off than he may have been, than a lot of people would have been, even though he's not coming home today.
Serena, does he serve the full 3 years, or does he serve 85%? In other words, would he serve 2.5 years?
So there is opportunity for him to get out earlier on good behavior. And so the calculation is not exact. And time will tell whether he will be getting out with some time off from the full 3. I know it's a 4-year sentence. Obviously, the 14 months counts. You already deduct that. I mean, that's definitely coming off. Because he does have credit for the time served. So already it's less than the sentence that he's getting, the 4 years. But yeah, he could very easily be walking out sooner rather than later. So the children will have their father home sooner than they expected. And as Joe mentioned before, he can be on his comeback tour, in no time.
We had a poll up. What do you think Diddy's sentence will be? So 31% said less than 5 years. They were correct. It's interesting as we're processing the sentence of 4 years, time served 3, maybe 85%, so 2.5, 3 years to serve behind bars. I wonder if he's actually going to now have to serve it at the MDC because it's it's a lesser sentence than we were anticipating. I will say the court imposes a fine of $500,000, including to defray the costs of imprisonment. There is no restitution, but there is forfeiture as reflected in the order. There is a $5,000 fine under the statute and a special assessment of $200.
So there you have it right there, guys. Diddy about to do 4 years, not exactly 4 years, but he was sentenced to 4 years for the Mann Act. The big charges, the RICO charges, prostitution, all that stuff like that. Diddy really, really could have did 15 to life in prison if he really been found guilty of all that stuff that they said in the courtroom. He really could have been found guilty, never really coming home, long, long time. Because Diddy's about what, almost 60 years old? You know what I'm saying? So this right here is, I mean, damn. I mean, he paid millions of dollars for his lawyers. So, I mean, if you were a billionaire, why wouldn't you want to spend that money to spend on your lawyers for your life? You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter how much it costs. You know what I'm saying? Just bill me or whatever it is, get me home. You know what I'm saying? I might not be free today. I might not be free tomorrow, but get me home fast. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. That's what his defense team did. His defense team did an amazing job, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Diddy's defense team did an amazing job on really showing that this guy was just a freak, man. This guy was just a freak, man. That love freak off, love seeing men mess with his girlfriend and stuff like that. It's weird, it's crazy. A lot of people might know I'm not into that, but that's what he was into, you know. So that's what his defense team really showed the jurors and just showed that, listen, man, this guy was just a freaky guy, a weird guy. You know what I'm saying? But the prosecutors really, really wanted to show even today that Diddy was a terrible, terrible person, terrible human being, man. You know what I'm saying? Even though his kids came up there and speak, and I think that kind of helped also with Diddy. And Diddy got up there and speak for himself. I really thought it was going to be longer, but Diddy wasn't really, he didn't really say too much, but he spoke, you know what I mean? Because he also, in my video that I made already, that he sent out a letter to the judge yesterday or whatever. So that was pretty interesting right there, man. This is pretty interesting case, long case. I know a lot of people talking about it, man. See if I can get some reaction for people who was there. I want to.
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform,
if you're seriously injured, you're not looking for a TV lawyer. You're looking for a lawyer.
Shade off, so that's a good thing. You know what I mean? You know, well, everybody tuning in. That's why, because it ain't everybody tuning in, and not a lot of people is on the YouTube.
Court imposed a fine of $500,000, including to defray the cost of imprisonment. There is no restitution, but there is a forfeiture as reflected in the order. There is a $5,000 fine under the statute and special assessment $200. I want to speak to the strong women who came forward. Miss Ventura and Jane, you've been through trauma we can't imagine. Miss Ventura said it was forced sex and degradation. I want to say we heard you. Judge, you weren't just speaking to the jurors, but to other victims. You stood up to the power. It's not easy. Violence behind closed doors doesn't have to stay secret forever. I know you still bear trauma, but you've taught us you don't have to stay a victim. Wow. Listen, I mean, like I say, man, Diddy was a terrible person. Him and Cassie they've been together for at least over 10 years, you know what I'm saying? And she endured a lot. She really endured a lot. What, but I'm gonna be real, I'm a realist. Will I blame Diddy 100% on everything? Because we gotta remember, Cassie set up some of those prostitution freak offs. She also got some drugs herself. You know what I'm saying? And some of the time she wasn't really forced to do those freak offs or whatever. She set up herself. You know what I mean? Some of the male prostitutes already went on interviews and said that, you know what, Cassie set it up herself. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes she did wanted that. She also texted Diddy like, listen, you want to have some freak offs, I can hire such and such. You know what I mean? Just like Jane. Jane wanted to have a freak off for Diddy's birthday. She wanted like 3 guys back to back to back, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So I can't blame Diddy 100%, but I'm gonna blame him at least 95% of everything. You know what I mean? But we gotta give some blame to some of those women also. You know what I'm saying? Some people can disagree with me or not, but I'm just saying, you know. But in this situation right here, man, you know, for most victims, I don't like seeing no women get beat, hit, or whatever. And I always say, if you got a chance to leave the situation, leave the situation, you know. And some people may say, you know what, she probably couldn't leave. And some people may say, you know what, she continued to love the finer things in life, the money, the cars, vacations, you know what I'm saying? Eat whatever you want to eat, service and stuff like that. So it can go both ways, you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking from both situations, you know what I'm saying? So a crazy situation, man. This guy about to do 4 years. Now the next thing is we already know he's being sentenced. We already know he's in jail. Now the thing is when he get home, what's gonna happen when he get home? You know, a lot of people say they're scared. A lot of people say they're scared of Diddy. And I definitely can understand that. And I also can understand that, listen, man, he's still rich, even though he's behind bars. I mean, I think if he really wants to harm people, I think he can really get it done, even from inside the jail room. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I watch too much movies, but that's a fact. You know what I mean? But I definitely can understand that some victims are still scared of Diddy. You know what I mean? Because he was an abusive guy and he was a dangerous guy that had money. You know, so I could definitely understand, man. The situation is wild. Let's see, we got some more tweets. As Dr. King taught us, out of the mountain of this despair, a stone of hope. Mr. Combs, your mom writes that you have always been a good son. The same power that enabled you to hurt these women, you could use to help. Combs is sitting with his hands folded. Judge adjourn. Well, that's it, man. That is it for the Diddy trial. You know, he got sentenced. The trial was pretty long. It was very intense. Weird in some situations, sad in a lot of situations, you know, and I don't know, man. You know, y'all tell me what y'all think about this whole trial, man. That is over. What do y'all think? Y'all think he should have got more time? Y'all think he really should have got 10 years, 10 to 15 years, or you think this is a reasonable sentence? Or do you think Diddy should have became home today? You know what I mean? Do no more time to get time served for the year he been in prison. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Let me know.
Is a serious, terrible crime, and he has not shown the proper remorse. And then he hears, yeah, he's booked something for Monday. That's unbelievable.
That being said, though,
really
I would. You can't say that it impacted the judge that much because to end up at 4 years, 2 months,
he did what he did what he planned on doing when he took.
Right, because earlier the judge had mentioned that I could go up to 7 and change.
The judge took the bench and spoke for 10 minutes or so before letting us know what the sentence was going to be. And all four of us sitting here listening to that, we were inching our predictions up. Every time the judge said another sentence, we're like, oh, it's going to be a bit worse than that. Because the judge was taking him to task for not really being reformed. He's a specific threat going forward. He said, I don't believe you're not going to do this again.
I can't ignore the trial record.
And I can't believe that the society at large, if I give you too lenient a sentence, the society is going to think we don't actually hold people accountable.
Yeah. So it sounded like he was inching up, and then then it turned, right? Because then he referenced the 11 years that prosecutors were seeking. And he said, that is unreasonable. And so then it started to shift. Is he going to go middle of the road, but still slightly high? And then he ends up landing middle light. He cuts the baby, but goes lower than half the 11.
So we had a big argument here in the newsroom and on our live stream today that I thought he was going to play the trump card because it was clear to the judge, clear to everyone, this judge was going to give him prison time. And the only way to get out of it is to bend the knee to Donald Trump and say, I now understand what the president was saying when he talked about the Justice Department weaponizing the system against him because it happened to me with all these other charges. It wouldn't have gone over well with the judge, but I think it would have gone over with Trump.
Yeah, we thought his back was against the wall, and he would play for the pardon because Trump has a capacity for forgiveness. He's done it before with people.
The pardon, I think, is still in play now. If he does the right thing, the right back channeling, it's a short term. It's not like he's forgiving it.
Now he doesn't need to. It's light enough. He doesn't want to sacrifice his own fan base.
No. It's another 2.5 years to get a pardon from Trump. I don't think it's.
If he could, sure, he would. But as I said before, and I'm not here to gloat and say I was right.
I'm glad.
He's not going to play. He's not going to play that card. It would be too transparent, not for Trump. Trump would have been fine with the transparency.
But then he gets a pardon.
But it's too transparent for Diddy and his ego. Diddy's ego is not going to say, I'm going to suck up to this guy who I've always been critical of, and now suddenly I'm just going to say...
No, they were friends. They were friends before.
They were,
I know, since he's been president.
I understand.
Since he's been
He
president.
campaigned for Kamala. He would have to eat a lot of crow.
Right. He's not going to do that, and it wouldn't have gone
That's
over
what you eat
well.
in prison.
And by the way, he did... Whoa.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Michael Ayala.
And I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. We begin this hour with really breaking news, the sentencing of rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs. We now know the judge has just sentenced him to over 4 years, or just over 4 years, for his conviction on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution.
The prosecution was pushing for 11 years and 3 months in prison. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft was inside that courtroom for the sentencing hearing, and she joins us now. Kelly, great to see you. Take us back to that point when the judge was delivering his sentence. How did it go?
Well, hi there, Michael and Judge Ashley. The day has been emotional and intense as we awaited to hear the punishment for Sean Diddy Combs. Just moments ago, the judge handed down that punishment, saying that Sean Diddy Combs should serve 4 years and 2 months behind bars for the convictions of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Now, prior to the judge handing down that sentence, Sean Combs addressed Your Honor. He spoke to him directly, saying, no matter what anyone says, Your Honor, I am sorry for what I did. He also apologized to Cassie Ventura as well as Jane, saying that he is sorry for everything that he did to them, saying that he is sorry for getting them involved in his mess. But emotional and intense as his children also spoke, Judge Ashley and Michael. They addressed the court on Sean Diddy Combs' behalf, having a very hard time with their remarks, breaking down at times. As they spoke, Sean Combs put his head into his hands, then placed his head down on his knees because he was having a hard time composing himself as his one daughter in particular spoke. So that was quite emotional during the court proceedings today. This hearing lasted an entire day, with us hearing from several of Sean Diddy Combs' attorneys. We put up now some of the information that Sean Combs shared with the judge. This was prior to him actually giving his statement in allocution. He put forth a memo in which he talked about what he was going to say today. He expounded on that quite a bit and was quite emotional as he delivered his remarks to the jury. At one point, he turned around, spoke directly to his children, telling them that I failed you. He was very emotional when he said that to them, then also addressed his mother. At this point, there was really not a dry eye, at least from many of the supporters and family members of Sean Diddy Combs, because he said to his mother, I am sorry. And we even heard his mother reply back, I'm sorry. So that was pretty intense inside the courtroom, to say the least. Everyone was wondering what this sentence would be. The prosecutor put forth an idea, the sentencing recommendation of 11 years and 3 months. The judge addressed that, saying that would be too much, that he is not supposed to impose a sentence that is more than necessary to serve the purpose of sentencing. So he said that was going to be too much. On the other side of that, defense counsel put forth a sentencing recommendation of only 14 months. The judge also addressed that, saying that also was not enough because defense counsel did not take into account any of the aggravating factors in this case. When the judge was imposing the sentence, he took one of the text messages as well as something else that Sean Diddy Combs said to Jane, and he read that aloud. This was from the trial transcript. It contains a lot of vulgar language, so to hear